All right, hear me out. I am 98.2% positive the reason that you don't shoot more than 3-round groups is because it's not sexy and your ego can't handle it. You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Welcome back to another Swampfox Optics video, guys, and today we are talking about why it is important that you shoot more than 3-round groups. The military standard has been 3, and I know that's probably what your dad or your grandpa taught you, but listen, like, more data is better. I get that it's not sexy, but today we are gonna go over why it's important. We're gonna shoot quite a bit actually and get some data, and why it is just so vital if you wanna get better at shooting that you need to start shooting more than 3-round groups. We have a bunch of different ammo to shoot today, so quick rundown. We've got Federal 73 grain, a Frontier load of 75 grain with Hornady bullets, Hornady match. Never had good success with this. We'll see if that's any different today. Hornady black, PMC X-Tac, and Varmint blue to cure your projectile dysfunction. We bought this one because it says to cure your projectile dysfunction. It's funny. So we're going to be shooting 10-round groups with each of these, and then we're going to go over essentially what our first 3 rounds look like. We'll break each thing down into 3-round groups consecutively. And before we go any further, I want to give a shout out to Preston Moore. He's currently my favorite YouTube channel. Just an incredible wealth of knowledge and very data analytic focused videos. And if you are wanting to know even more why you should shoot more than 3, 5, or even 10-round groups, go watch his videos. If you are anything like me, you'll be a little bit humbled by his shooting and just how much effort he puts in. So today, in honor of Preston, we will be doing a very similar test. The rifle, you know it, you hopefully love it. It's the Radian 16-inch with our Warhawk 2-10. I know we use this a lot, but it is a good performing rifle and allows me to usually show what we are trying to accomplish with the video. So again, we're using this one today. I promise we will start mixing it up here in the future. But for now, we're just going with the tried and true gun here. If this is something I haven't mentioned in previous videos, I really like the 2-10. It's a first focal plane optics, so we do a lot of more precise shooting. I'm usually shooting at essentially a 1 MOA or 1-inch target at given distances. So first focal plane helps my reticle get a little bit bigger, and that precise center aiming dot is really nice for these smaller targets. Speaking of targets, today we are shooting at this guy. This, again, in honor of Preston. I saw this on his channel and it is a phenomenal idea. I kind of had to DIY it. I don't know how he makes his targets, but we have a 1-inch grid on a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with a red 1-inch circle. So I will be aiming at said 1-inch circle. I have put 3/10 of a mil up in my scope so that my point of aim is a little bit lower than my point of impact. So I will see all of the point of impacts come up here. As Preston says in his video, it's really hard to have a precise point of aim when you keep shooting holes in it. So thank you, Preston, for a fantastic idea. We will be implementing this a ton in a lot of our videos where we're trying to highlight or focus on accuracy and precision. That's what we're shooting at today. We've got 6 of these targets. They're all labeled for each of the rounds that we will be firing. And let's get into a little quick montage and show you guys what results we find. Interesting, interesting. That's a pretty good group. Oh, that last round has to be me. It was, I knew it because it wasn't there before the 10th shot. I was not expecting that from that round. All right, guys, we are back in the office and we are going to go over some of the data that you guys just watched. It was a little bit a while ago for us, but for you, it's right this second. So let's hop into looking at some of these groups. I do not have the order on hand of when they were shot, but we'll just go through them one by one, talk about each one, and see what we are looking at. So first one I have up, and you guys will see this as well, is the Federal 73 grain load. And what you guys are looking at here is that 1-inch grid square like we talked about at the beginning of the video. I've got a ruler on there so you can see that these are indeed 1-inch apart lines. And I used the ballistic X calculator to track every shot that we took. And as you can see, we know the order of the shots as well because we recorded them. And what that's going to give us is an idea of what our groups look like. So we're looking at not a terrible group. Obviously, it's not a phenomenal group. We had that flyer number 7 sticking out there. Obviously, that one could have been me. We pulled the velocity for every shot as well, so we can see if there was something different in that particular round. But at the end of the day, not that bad. Next one I have the Frontier load. This one is not great. We have a flyer on round number 8 as well. Nothing is really tight, but also nothing is really far out there. Like it looks like the gun didn't hate this round, but it also didn't love the round either. So definitely not the best one we shot, but not too bad. Hornady Black. This one surprised me a little bit. This one shot pretty well. So this is just a pretty good group. There's nothing crazy about it. None of the rounds, again, were touching each other, but also nothing really flew or was, way off base. So we're looking at a 1.6 MOA group, 10 rounds there. So I like that one. Not too bad. Number 4, the Hornady Match. This is what I have come to expect from this load. It has never shot well out of this gun for me. In fact, the first time that I shot this round, I bought it because I was like, man, this is going to be super spectacular load, and it's going to shoot really, really tight because it's Hornady and it's match ammo. And I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought there was something wrong with my gun, and so I kind of freaked out. I'm like, what is happening? And so I asked one of my buddies, I said, dude, will you put a couple rounds through this thing? I want to eliminate the potential of it being a human error. He shot it, got the same exact results I did, and he is a pretty good shooter himself. So this ammo sucks, at least in my experience with my gun. This has not shot very well. This is, I think, by far our worst group of the whole day, which is disappointing. But that was all right. That's why we're doing this and shooting 10-round groups. Number 5 was the PMC X-Tac. This was a round that is not very expensive and a round that has performed pretty good for me. And this group, I would say, is pretty indicative of that. It's nothing to write home about, but it's also, again, for a round that is as cheap as it is, pretty spectacular, at least for consistency, like reliability. So 2.48 MOA group there. And then the last one, the Varmint Blue. So you guys also saw this one. This blew our minds. We did not expect this to be the case, for this to shoot as tight of a group as it did. And in fact, I remember while we were shooting, this was the last group that we shot. It also so happened to be the last one that we went over just now. But I remember shooting the other 5 groups and thinking, man, like, none of these rounds are grouping, incredibly well. Like, what's going on? Am I just having an off day? Did I drink too much caffeine, a little shaky, or what? I genuinely thought that this is something that I was struggling with, it being a me issue. And then we shot this last round, and nothing had changed. We shot these rounds within a span of about 45 minutes, all said and done. And I was like, okay, so I am not having an off day, or at least I wasn't at this point, and was able to put a pretty tight group together. So this, like I said, kind of blew our minds. That is all 9 rounds inside of a 1-inch square. So it was well within a 1 MOA group until that 10th round. And that 10th round was a little bit of a flyer. I remember shooting this group, and I'm like, again, I'm 100 yards away shooting this group, and I'm just seeing the hole get a little bit bigger every time. I'm like, no way this is happening. Thinking to myself, like, this is a hella tight group compared to everything else that we've already shot. Like, what is happening? So we get to the last one, and I'm like, I swear, like, you better not pull this round and ruin this group. And then I did, or at least I thought I did, until we looked at the velocities of all the rounds that we shot. And so I'll pull that up real quick for you guys as well. I guess I won't pull it up. I'll pull it up for myself, and then Tommy will pull it up for you. Okay, so now that we have the velocities pulled up for all 60 shots that we fired, the top left corner is the Varmint Blue, the one we're talking about right now. All of the red squares are the slowest round, the green squares are the fastest round. But as you can see, that 10th round of that group from the Varmint Blue was the slowest round. It was 40 feet per second slower than the average. It's, well within, reason to say that that flyer could have in part been affected by the velocity of that round. It was probably more me than that still, but it's interesting to see that on paper. So we'll leave that up for you guys for just a second here so you can take a peek and see if there's anything else you want to glean from this info. But the really big thing that I want to go over in today's video, guys, is the next piece of data we have. And this is the crux of why you should shoot more than 3 rounds in your groups. And so now that we have pulled up our 3-round group sizes using the shot count of each group, knowing which round was first and which round was last, we took each one and broke it down into 3 3-round groups. Obviously, we didn't shoot a multiplier of 3, so we're going to excuse the 10th round, but we will take shots 1 through 3 as our first round of 3, 4 through 6, 7 through 9, not that hard. What we can see, all the green squares here are all groups that were sub MOA. So other than the Hornady match ammo, like I said, that sucks, we got at least one 3-round group from every single type of ammo we shot today, aside from the Hornady match. And what this tells me is all of these ammos are capable of shooting a 3-round group, right? Sometimes it was the first one. Most often it was the first one. Sometimes it's some of the later ones. But what really strikes me is 4 out of the 6 groups that we shot had a 3-round group in the first 3 rounds fired. But if you look at any of those, you go back earlier in the video when we went over each grouping, if you look at any of those, you wouldn't look at any of those and be like, man, that's a surprisingly accurate sub-MOA gun. If you took just the first 3-round groups out of 4 of those, you would say, wow, look, that is a sub-MOA gun. So the idea here is just understanding that the more we shoot our gun, even though we want to stop after that 3rd round, or we want to stop after the 9th, like I did in the Varmint Blue round, where I'm like, that's a crazy tight group, I should just stop here. Adding more data is ultimately just going to give you a better picture of what your rifle is truly capable of, instead of what you could consider to kind of be flukes of these sub-MOA groups. Hornady sucks, but going through this list now, and not on a dialogue, Varmint Blue, all 3-round groups were sub-MOA. I mean, that clearly, like, all those rounds were basically touching each other anyway. So that performed phenomenally well, with the biggest group being just slightly over a half MOA group, which is crazy. PMC X-Tac, rough 1st round group, rough 2nd round group, and then we had a sub-half minute MOA group for that last one. Again, that's a great round, and it shoots really good for how much it costs, but to say that just because it had one half MOA group that it would make that, you know, a sub MOA gun or a sub MOA gun with that ammo is kind of a little disingenuous to say. The Hornady Black also grouped very well. That first one was right on the cusp of being a sub MOA group. You could call it just an MOA group at that point, but still technically all were under 1 MOA. 73 grain Federal had a .73 MOA group. That is the ammo that I shoot almost all the time out of that gun, and I am very happy with its consistency, its ability to kind of give me a consistent result. But again, if I were to just take that first 3-round group and say, oh look, this is a sub MOA gun, those 2nd and 3rd groups would say otherwise. Same thing for the Frontier, had a .96 MOA group on that first one. Other 2 were not as kind. And then the Hornady match ammo, all just hot garbage. So at least in my gun, for whatever reason, it does not like that ammo. The rest of them all performed pretty good. The last partially unrelated note here that I think is interesting to take away from our little test here is shooting different rounds through your rifle is something that I would be in the habit of doing, at least initially, before you start stockpiling one kind or the other. If you had handed me all 6 of these boxes of ammo before this test and told me to rank them on the ones I thought would perform better than others, I would not have been able to tell you that this was going to be the spread. One little piece of info that's somewhat unrelated, but is a good takeaway as well from this whole test is shoot different kinds of ammo through your gun, or at least test a couple before you start stockpiling one kind or the other. If you had given me all 6 of these boxes of ammo prior to this test and told me to rank them based off of the ones I thought would perform better than the others, it would not look anything like the list that we have as far as which ones performed better than others. At the top of the list here, you can see that the Varmint Blue performed phenomenally well. It was a 1.4 MOA group with the flyer in the 10th shot, and then Hornady Black was the 2nd, Federal Premium was the 3rd, X-Tac Frontier and Hornady Match was the worst, and I would not have guessed that. This is a really cool way to figure out what your gun is truly capable of, and then adding everything else we already talked about, which is shoot more than 3-round groups, will do that as well. At the end of the day, I don't want a gun that I think can be really flashy and pull off a couple of sub-minute 3-round groups. I would like to know far more for myself at least, and hopefully you feel the same way, that I can shoot 10 rounds and keep all of them within a very acceptable level of accuracy. If you guys learned anything today from this video, please like, leave a comment, subscribe. If there's anything that you feel like we should have added or should have done differently, please drop a comment down below and let us know. We are always learning, and there's just a continual process of shooting is just getting better. Last thing, I want to say one more thank you to Preston. He's been pretty influential on us just learning, and that's why we do this. That's why YouTube is a really cool place, is that you can really learn from each other. So thank you, Preston, for giving us a little bit of knowledge dump, and hopefully we are extending that and reaching a different audience with a lot of the things that you're doing. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Like always, if you liked what you saw in this video as far as the optics we were shooting, you can check them out at www.swampfoxoptics.com. I was shooting the Warhawk 2-10. That's my favorite optic we make, but there are a ton of other options out there for you for any gun that you might have lying around in your safe. Until the next video, thanks, and we'll see you later.